Welcome to the Child Care Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on child care marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Our host, Brian Duprey, is the world's most sought-after child care coach, having helped tens of thousands of child care owners from around the globe take their business to the next level. Let's welcome to the Child Care Genius Podcast, our host, Brian Duprey.
Welcome to the Child Care Genius Podcast Training Series. I am Brian Duprey with my lovely and talented co-host, Carol Duprey. Going to be doing an episode today. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about insurance and the proper insurance that you should have. Insurance is pretty important, honey.
Very important.
It's an area that I see some clients struggle in, especially being properly insured. So we want to give you some tips and tools today to make sure that you are protected, because if something happens, you could lose your entire business. So being insured is probably one of the most important things you can do. And when your licensing inspector comes, they usually ask for a copy of your liability policy. Well, liability is the minimum you will need in place for your business. That's the minimum. That just means if a kid gets hurt, you have basic protection of a lawsuit if somebody gets hurt in your center. But the minimum is not always the best. Obviously, that's what you need to have in place minimum standards. But there are some 4 different types of insurance that we're going to recommend today. We don't recommend one insurance company over another. Here, there's some really good ones out there. Find one that works for you. We recommend finding a child care insurance company that specializes in that. But if you do have a local person, that's fine too. Just make sure that they follow the things that we're going to be covering today. So the first one we're going to talk about is EPLI, which is Employment Practices Liability Insurance. Why would you need EPLI, honey?
Because when you fire somebody, they can sue you for just about anything. And this protects you. They could say you fired me because I'm overweight, or because I couldn't lift this, or because I'm black, or because you don't like the way I look. They could pretty much sue you for anything and say that that's why you fired them. So if you have this insurance and they do win the case, it doesn't come out of your pocket.
Yeah, so it's employment practices. Employment, that would cover being an employer. And they could fire you, like I said, for any reason. If they put a Human Rights Commission complaint against you in your department that said you violated their civil rights because maybe they're trans or maybe they're old, or over 60 is a protected class, a minority is protected class, sexual orientation protected class. So there's a lot of them. Native American, veteran, women. There's a lot of protected classes, and if you violate any of those or multitudes of those, you could have a case brought against you, and your regular liability insurance does not cover you for this. I'm surprised at how many multi-million-dollar childcare owners that don't have this insurance. It blows my mind.
And it's not just protected classes. They can say that you fired them for, it doesn't have to be a protected class. They can just say that you fired them for a different reason, and you
don't even have to fire them. They could bring a case against you while they're still working that you
Yes.
discriminated against them. You didn't have a proper handicap bathroom. ADA is one of the protected things, and in EPLI would cover you for. And you had, your certain handrails around the stall need to be a certain height, and your ramps have to be a certain pitch, and you have to have certain accessibility in there. And the general public could bring a case against you, and also your employees could bring a case against you with ADA. And the only thing that's going to protect you is employment practices liability insurance. So we highly recommend it. We have it in multiple businesses that we have. We have EPLI insurance because it's a good thing. Anything else you could think of that one?
No.
All right. So EPLI, very important to have. The second one is a student accident policy. Say, Brian, why would I need a student accident policy if I have liability protection?
Because if kids get hurt, this doesn't go against your regular liability insurance. Child gets hurt on your property and the parents want medical bills, pain and suffering, whatever, the insurance will cover that, usually up to 250,000.
Yeah, most we're seeing now, it used to be 25, but a lot of the policies now are picking up 250. That means it won't even touch your liability policy at all up to the first 250,000, which is probably most accidents
Right.
with children. And if a regular liability insurance doesn't always cover children getting injured, there has to be negligence on the teacher's part for that to
Right.
happen. And that is not always the case. Kids sometimes get hurt. And you definitely want to have a student accident. It costs like, it's reasonable, $7 per child per year. I think it is. It like my centers cost me under $2,000 for an entire year. So it's very reasonable insurance to have. We've had a claim against us before for 25,000. We've seen many clients who've had cases of these, but the secret is it keeps it off your liability policy, which means your liability is the one that goes up year after year. If you have claims, the price goes way, way up. Well, if this keeps that off the liability, and the liability is the most expensive part of insurance. So if we can keep the rates down by taking any student accident claims on your student accident and not on your general liability, then you're in good shape. So we highly recommend talk to your agent about having a student accident policy. And when a child gets hurt, first thing you do, so the parent, call the insurance company, get a claim number, and give it to the parents. Very important to have that done. All right, the next one is have non-owned auto insurance rider on your policy. A lot of times we send our teachers out to get supplies. Your director goes to the store, your cook picks up food, the assistant director runs down and picks something up for the center, and they're using their own vehicle. Sometimes they're on their own time. If they were to get into an accident, because they work for you and you directed them to go, you could be dragged into a lawsuit. And you're the deep pocket. You're probably, as an owner, you're going to have much deeper pockets than your teachers and your directors, and they're going to go after you. Having this simple rider, it's very inexpensive, called non-owned auto. That means that even if you don't own the auto as the owner, and they're working in the capacity of your school in any way, shape, or form, you'll be secondary to their insurance policy, that if they go after you, you'll have coverage, secondary coverage, but it will protect the center from a lawsuit should you get covered.
And
And
there's
we've had
also,
people get in accidents, right?
we have, yes. We've had one between centers get in an accident, but you can also have, there are some schools, especially summer programs, that have field trips and people drive their private vehicles to the field trips. So that's another thing. If there's an accident, that you would be covered.
Yeah, if you're driving a company vehicle, it would go on a commercial liability insurance policy. That's different from non-owned auto because you own those vehicles. But sometimes, and you never want to have kids transferred in private vehicles. Like that's kind of a no-no with this insurance companies, because even though you have non-owned auto, the kids aren't covered, and you could be definitely, if they were getting into an accident, a kid got hurt, you'd be in big trouble. So I wouldn't transport any children that's not in a company-owned vehicle with company insurance on the vehicles. And non-owned auto just protects you if your teacher or your director gets into an accident with a vehicle that's not owned by the company. And the last one we want to talk about is having an umbrella insurance policy. And umbrellas are just what the name says. It sits on top of your other policies. Now, the reason you want to have an umbrella is it kind of picks up where your maximums end. You got a liability insurance with a $2 million maximum, you can set a $3 million umbrella on top of that, and it only starts paying once your underlying coverages are exhausted, and then it pays up to the maximum of the policy. And it's really good to have that covers everything. You could sit it over all your other insurance policies. And we recommend having a commercial umbrella that sits over everything commercially, and having a personal umbrella as the owner that sits over your personal assets. your home, your cars, your RV, your boat, your four-wheeler, your jet skis, anything that you can get hurt on or hurt other people on. They know you have deep pockets. You want to make sure a lot of times these, if you have a boat, they don't have high liabilities because a lot of times they're an accident. But if they know you're wealthy as a business owner, they're going after you if you hurt them. Somebody was over at your house and you're jet skiing and they get injured, they're going to come after you on a liability policy. You want to make sure you have an umbrella sitting over all your assets as well. So it's, again, you want to protect yourself. Insurance is important. It's something you definitely have to have. The only insurance that's a guaranteed payout in your life is life insurance. 100% you're going to die, but you may never get into an accident. But it's one of those things where it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So it's definitely worth the penny you pay. Insurance rates have gone up significantly post-COVID. This latest economic world that we're in now, everything costs more money. Insurance is not immune to that because it costs so much more to build things. So that's why the prices have gone up. So be prepared on your next insurance renewal to pay 30 to 100% more than you paid last year. Ours doubled this year. Most of our clients doubled this year. And if you already weren't making a whole lot to begin with, you could be in financial trouble. So just be prepared for that. Anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
All right. I think we covered everything about the 4 different types of insurance you definitely need to have as a child care owner. Don't forget it. And if you ever have any questions, you want to get on a call with me, I'm not going to charge you. If you're a center owner, I'll give you a free coaching call with me. If you haven't done one in a year, go to childcaregenius.com. And under the coaching tab, say, I'd like a free coaching call. We could talk about insurance. We could talk about any other area that you're struggling in your childcare business. And let me give you some free advice. It's a gift from us to you to help you move your business forward. I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Childcare Genius podcast. We hope to see you again next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.